Layla Olsen and Arvid Stope were having an affair, and that's the last thing my father was investigating before he got killed.
You broke into Vetlison's house because you were afraid I'd find out this was personal and take you off the case.
Vetlison was his pimp, and they were both in Bergen when the murder started.
I know how much you want this, but you can't force the pieces to fit.
Do you actually think he killed them?
I don't know. I don't think either of us do for sure.
And that's a clip from The Snowman. I'm delighted to say we've been joined by two of its stars, Michael Fassbender and Rebecca Ferguson. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi,
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very good.
well.
And you've just...
We speak in unison.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
good. Well, you're a good partnership, you see. And you've just met up again for the first time in a while, Rebecca. You were saying,
Well, I remember that the last time I saw Michael was a scene we did, and then I wrapped the film and I ran off set and left, which I think they call an Irish exit. And
She didn't bother to say
I
goodbye.
actually didn't say goodbye.
Just shows how good the relationship was. Really.
why is that called an Irish exit?
I don't know.
I always thought it was a French one as well. I thought it was a French exit.
It sounds like
But
the kind of
you're
thing you're not
Irish.
allowed to say anymore.
I think it was Guy Pearce that told me it was a French exit, but I think, yeah, we'll
But
call it
I'm
an
Northern
Irish
Irish, as are you.
exit. I knew that, yeah. Well,
So
I'm
maybe
actually not Northern Irish.
Are you
but
not?
my mum is, yeah.
As
yeah.
is my mother
Yeah.
as well.
Told you that before.
Right, well, I'm glad
Sorry.
that's all. I'm glad that's all been sorted.
That's been sorted. Thank God.
So, Rebecca hasn't been on the show before. Michael has been. This is your fourth time on the show. The last time was Assassin's Creed for Rochester
Classic.
and Frank, which was great. So, Rebecca, you're very welcome to the show. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
For your time.
Thank
So, I'm going to start with you. So, can you explain, please, the story of the Snowman and where you fit into? Only because we've heard so
Really?
much.
I kind of
from
wish I
Herr
could have
Fassbender.
Michael explain it because he's I'm
No,
such a
no.
rookie.
I want you to do it.
Oh, right. Where do I... Thank you, by the way, for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Hopefully next time we'll say this is my fifth time. And
Yeah. Well, next time will be your second time. Eventually we'll get to your fifth time.
it's a slow-paced, suspenseful thriller. It's an incredible story about a murderer who comes again, and he has a symbol of a snowman, which is unsettling the area of Oslo. And my character, Katrina Bratt, has been transferred from Bergen to Oslo. What I love about my character is that she sort of seems like this kind of rookie, excited young agent who is so excited to work with this incredible detective, Harry Hole. And it turns out that he is a bit of a disaster. And we realize as well that she has other intentions for this crime. She has her own reason, and she's actually after something more sinister.
Right. Now, this would be the point to bring in Michael, I think. Is it Harry Hole? Because I've been going around saying Harry Hole, but that's not the right pronunciation, is it?
Harry Hule.
Harry Hole.
So what are we going with that? Or
It depends.
what are you saying in interviews?
It depends. Some days I'm whole, sometimes I'm hula.
What are we today?
When I'm in Norway, I go hula.
Yeah.
But in general, with people in English-speaking countries, I say whole.
Okay, all right. Well, him then, Harry. Why is he a mess?
He likes to numb himself with alcohol.
Why does he like to do that?
Either he's deep in a case, or he's numbing the side of himself. I don't know. There could be lots of theories for it. There might be a theory that he doesn't very much enjoy his work, but he's obsessed by it, and he's good at it. And there's so much activity going on in his brain that sometimes he just wants to shut it down, maybe.
Seems to have a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking, and you have a lot of enemies as well. He seems to accumulate enemies.
Enemies, I think he rubs up people the wrong way. He's definitely a sort of individualist, somebody that sort of doesn't really like the company of people that much, or essentially in the working environment anyway. He prefers to work by himself.
And he's also very, very good at what he does. And I think that can
He gets
strike
frustrated by
Yeah.
people around him, maybe. But he does have a team, that he does trust. And I think, he's definitely intrigued by Katrine, Rebecca's character.
Yeah. So what's that relationship like? How do they get on, or do they get on?
I think he likes her because he sees she really loves police work. She's dedicated, she's passionate about it, and she's smart. But like Rebecca said, there's something off about her as well, that she's not bringing, the full story to him. She's hiding something. So that's also pricked his interest.
I wonder if they're actually quite similar in that respect, in as much as you're both really first-class detectives with a...
And socially inept,
Rubbish,
kind of.
yeah.
You know, rubbish.
I think also something that I like, which you, I don't know if you acted on, but something I reacted off, which is weird, you might not have even done it. But when we did studying scenes, when we go into rooms and look at environments, I can sense that Michael's character, Harry, would be studying Katrina to see what she snaps up. And he's probably already clocked everything, but he's also maybe clocking her, making mistakes or not, but letting her kind of go with it to find her own detectiveness and find herself.
That's right, yeah. It's sort of like, rather than dictating things, he allows her to follow her own journey, and path, yeah.
Just explain the Snowman and the snow, and this obviously is from the Joe Nesbo book of the same name. Just explain the significance of the
Or yo Nesbo, like the hula thing.
Okay.
Joe here, yo there.
And is it Nesbo, or because there's that line?
Yeah.
That's
Nesbo.
Nesbo is fine.
Yeah.
So Yo Nesbo.
Nesbo.
Okay. So Michael, can you explain the significance of snow and the snowman?
Yeah, well,
Please.
when the first snow falls, that's when he comes out to play the serial killer.
That's on the poster,
That's
isn't
when
it?
he gets off.
Thank God I got that right. It's on the poster, yeah. I just read it on the way in here, actually, with the bullet points, which you sort of started off with very well.
Thank you. I got the list.
Yeah.
You get
List, I
bullet
could see you-
points?
yeah.
Of
Oh, yeah,
course.
yes. We have
We
to be
shot this
prepared
film
for
2
this.
years ago.
Oh, okay.
No.
So the serial killer gets activated by the first fall of snow. And that's because there's something in his childhood that's sort of associated with that. And he likes to build snowmen on the side.
Well, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
That's right.
I love snowmen.
Yeah, this will ruin Snowmen for anyone who goes to see this movie. When winter comes, it's not.
But
it's
it
not,
is freaky. I was watching It the other day because
Yes.
a colleague
Didn't scare me.
didn't, to be honest, didn't scare me much either.
But it's a great
Bill
film.
is phenomenal in it. But it's like kind of clowny children when we take what is supposed to be a vulnerable toy. Children play with snow and we throw the snowball at each other. But all of a sudden we're in this environment of nothingness and it's scary and beautiful. And someone gets a snowball on their shoulder or there's a snowman and it shifts and it's absolutely terrifying.
Clowns are terrifying too.
Clowns are horrendous. And little girls. I don't know why little girls.
little girls aren't terrifying.
Well, no, just in a hallway,
it just-
holding hands.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's coulrophobia. I don't know if there is which is fear of clowns, but I don't know if there's a
What's
name.
it called?
Coulrophobia, which is fear of clowns. It's like a recognised thing. But from now on, fear of snowmen is definitely going to be saying snowman
hope
versus
so.
clown.
Snowmophobia.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the It comparison is that there's definitely a horror feel to this. It's a crime novel and a crime movie, but it's also inflected with horror because that whole serial killer and the appearance of the snowman is definitely moving it slightly into horror territory, don't you think?
For sure. I think the concept of a serial killer out there, is horrific in itself. And if you can sort of have a precursor, a warning what is going to come next, the omen side of it being the snowman, it adds that sort of anticipation for sure.
And Thomas Alfredson, who's your director, he knows how to chill, and we've seen his work before. What's it like being on a set with him?
Great. He's very precise and very
He's
sort
very
of methodical. We do a lot of sort of rehearsal and prep before we start shooting because he's a very
In
visual.
what way? Is that just sort of walking through the scenes, or?
We
Yeah.
would sit down and we would like put a puzzle together. But we would be free, I think, to improvise. But it's not. It would be improvised with a reason to grab on where we've come from. Or there's always a reason to everything. I think that we'll do.
I think he likes to see it all in the frame, and because we would block things, and when he was happy with the blocking, then we would shoot it.
Yeah.
Which was something that I would work the other way. I would like to shoot everything, and not rehearse and just sort of get. But it was great working in his system too, because he's an owner of the system. He's in charge of it. He makes it work for him, and
he's very funny.
And he's funny.
He's
yeah,
very
a lot
funny.
Of fun.
I remember one scene and it said, I don't know if I was tired. This sounds like I don't want to be on set. But no. I arrived the day and it said, Katrina walks in the corridor. And I thought, oh, that's great. I have like a whip in and whip out.
Best
There's
day.
no whipping in and whipping out. There's no just walking in a corridor. He had the longest build-up story for my imagination to do this sequence. I think there was a fart story involved. Do you remember him in the car?
There was a fart story, yeah.
The
That was a good
What?
story.
There was an incredible good story.
Yeah. He was on the way to a meeting with an actress, I think it was, and he was in the car and he just let off a really bad fart.
And it
And the
smelled like
actress was
dead
sort of
animal.
standing there, sort of, 'cause-
Waiting.
Well, no, she wasn't waiting. He'd sort of passed her on the way to the meeting, but she was walking there and she was like, hey, any chance of a lift? And he said he just sort of looked at her and
just
drove off.
continue driving. And this is the moment he wanted me to create.
Don't know how that came into you walking down the corridor.
Was that in the bullet points?
That was not
that
in
was
the
not in the
bullet
bullet points.
Did you go back to the original books at all? Because the Nesbo books, the Yo Nesbo books, are incredibly popular, having sold millions around the world. I think this is the 7th in the series. Do you go back to that and think that's how it was originally intended, or do you just stick to the screenplay that you've been given?
Well, I didn't read the book, The Snowman. I read all the other books because I thought we had a script and I didn't want to be, hey, in the book he does this and in the book it's that. I thought, okay, I'll get to know Harry Hole before The Snowman and get the sort of, so I read the first books leading up to it and then the books that came after, just to get an idea where he goes afterwards. And I loved them. I just went through them really fast. They are well written,
So
yeah.
I read
They're
The
very
Headhunter
intelligent.
quite recently.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good film. They filmatized it as well.
They what?
Filmatized is not a word, that's
That
a
is
Swedish word, but I just
actually not
made
a
it
word.
English.
I like it.
You're welcome to use it.
Filmatized.
Filmatized.
Yes.
Okay, does that mean filmed?
Yes, if that's what, yes, absolutely.
It's like an appetize, but it's filmatized.
It's verbalized.
Have you heard that word before?
I haven't, but I'm going to use it.
I make
okay?
up words.
In case you need some Swedish.
That's right.
That's quite useful.
Apparently, effervescential is not a word either.
What?
I said the word effervescential because I learned the word
Effervescent.
effervescent.
No, not a pheasant. Effervescent.
Effervescent.
Effervescence.
And I said effervescentially.
Oh,
Like it's effervescentially.
It sounds
thrilling.
good enough.
okay.
Okay. I have some listeners' questions.
Confused.
Okay.
From Jason Parks. Michael, you mentioned listening to Gary Newman whilst
Yes.
resuming your Prometheus alien role. Any particular track or albums? I think David would have been into the 3 major Gary Newman albums, Replicas, The Pleasure Principle, and Telecon. This is a very, very specific and niche question.
Yes, I would go Pleasure Principle all the way. In fact, that was the first album that I owned. I got it when I was about 3 years old. My cousin bought it for me because I was obsessed with the song. You're in my car. Love Gary Newman.
Yeah, and still do.
Still do.
So were you using that music to get into that role, or was it you just listened to Gary Newman when you're on set?
No, it was just his look, the aesthetic.
Okay.
You know what he was doing at that point for that album. I just thought it was really, there was a kind of coldness to it and robotic sort of,
Joseph
flavor to
O'Hara, Michael, some of your best work has been through collaborations with Steve McQueen. Do you have any future work lined up?
I hope so. I'd love to work with Steve again, and we talked about doing a musical, which I would really like to do.
Really?
Yeah,
What kind of a musical would you like to be in?
a good one.
You sing all the time.
I know,
keep
yeah.
on saying that in interviews. What's
It's
Michael
true.
like? Well, actor-wise,
Well, we
good,
got a little Gary Newman there.
but sings.
We should have filmatized that. We should have done.
And they would have had it.
That would have been great. Now, this is quite an interesting one. I don't know if you're even going to be able to answer this question to both of you. From Anna Altin. What was the last film you saw that you were not involved with in any way? And what did you think of it? Do you have time to even see films that you got nothing to do
Definitely.
with?
I saw it.
Dunkirk, I thought was a masterpiece.
Dunkirk, yes.
Fantastic film.
And we've heard yours, which was It.
I saw it yesterday, but Dunkirk was phenomenal.
What do we see you in next, Rebecca?
You will see me in a musical.
Snowman. Oh.
Or The Snowman, obviously. So sorry.
Yes,
this
let's take it as
fantastic
written,
thriller,
The
which is a
Snowman, yes.
suspenseful thriller about snow.
That's bullet point number 4.
What's after that? Yeah.
It's The Greatest Showman, which is a musical.
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman.
Love that guy.
He is fantastic.
And Mission
That-
Impossible, when does that kick in?
Mission Impossible will probably kick in next summer. We're on a bit of a hiatus, but we're going to kick into
That's
action
that
soon
guy.
again.
That's Tom. He sort of
The
did
ankle.
that thing with the ankle.
Yeah, but
again,
you know
and
what?
then-
He's recovering like no human has ever recovered before. So we'll
Have
be...
you visited him with flowers?
God, I wish I said yes. I would be lying. No, I haven't. But I've been sending affirmations and good thoughts and
Michael, it's only a matter of time before you make your 5th appearance on the show, but what will it be promoting? What are you going to do? What do we see you in after this?
I don't have anything.
No, yes, right.
No, I took pretty much this whole year off. I just finished up working on X-Men, so that'll be coming out probably this time next year or sometime next year. But I took the year off, which was fantastic.
Michael, Rebecca, thank you very much indeed for your time. I appreciate that very
Thank you,
much.
Simon.
Thank you.